Yes, guys, everything bite-sized here, back with another true crime reaction video. Today we're going to be looking at the Prince Andrew interview on the BBC about Jeffrey Epstein. I know this interview has been smashed to pieces by almost everyone on the internet, but we're going to be taking a fresh look and seeing if we can pick up on any body language cues or vocal cues. Alright, let's get popping.
We've come to Buckingham Palace in highly unusual circumstances. Normally we'd be discussing your work, your duty, we'll come on to that, but today you've chosen to speak out for the first time.
So he's so special that because he's part of like the royal family, that he doesn't come into the BBC to do the interview, the BBC comes to him. And you know that bottle of water on the table costs like £100.
Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things.
Calling him Mr. Epstein is almost like dignifying him in a way, like showing a deference to him. Like instead of just saying Jeffrey Epstein, he says Mr. Epstein. Like it's like he's it's like James Bond, you know, like he's trying to give him some respect, almost some credence.
Time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated.
You're associated with him, bro.
We've been talking to Newsnight for about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule until now. And actually, it's a very good opportunity. And
I think like within 6 months you could have found like an hour to do this interview, mate. I'm guessing those 6 months you were being coached every day on like I reckon he was insisting that he do this interview, and I bet his legal advisors were telling him, nah, don't be an idiot, man, like seriously, do not do this interview. Like they're probably telling him repeatedly, and he was like, no, I'll handle it fine and all that, like, you know. And then they gave up and they were like, all right then, if you're gonna do it, we're gonna like have to train you up like a monkey just to like act like you're innocent even though you're gonna flop, and we're gonna say we told you so afterwards.
I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
You're delighted to be able to talk about a sex offender and your association with him on BBC of all places. You're delighted. No, I don't believe you. I do not believe you, sir.
As you say, all of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Well, I met through his girlfriend back in 1999, and I'd known her since she was at university in the UK. And it would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people. And I had a lot of opportunity to go to the United States, but I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year.
Bollocks.
And quite often, if I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, well, why don't you come and use my house?
Brothel, like underage brothel.
So I said, that's very kind, thank you very much indeed. But it would be a considerable stretch to say that he was a very, very close friend. But he had the most extraordinary ability to bring
paedophiles together.
Extraordinary people together. And that's the bit that I remember, is going to the dinner parties where you would meet academics, politicians, people from the United Nations. I mean, it was a cosmopolitan group of what I would describe as
psychopaths,
US
paedophiles,
eminence.
Was that his appeal then? Was that what you...
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, no, I swear.
Because you were perceived by the public as being the party prince. Was that something you shared?
Well, I think that's also a bit of a stretch.
There's like a million photos of you trying to dance and sweating profusely, like with young chicks, bro. Like you were called the party prince for a reason, bro. Like there's no smoke without fire.
I don't know why I've collected that title, because I never have really partied. I was single for quite a long time. in the early 80s. But then after I got married, I was very happy. And I've never really felt the need to go and party. And certainly going to Jeffrey's was not about partying. Absolutely not.
So I don't believe that.
You said you weren't very good friends, but would you describe him as a good friend? Did you trust him?
Yes, I think I probably did. But again...
What do you mean? You probably did. You either trust him or you don't.
I mean, I don't go into a friendship looking for the wrong thing, if you understand what I mean.
Right, notice, keep an eye on the colour of his face, yeah? Especially like the gobble, gobble, gobble turkey shit he's got going on underneath his neck, yeah? Like, keep an eye out on this, because he gets redder and redder throughout the interview.
When I'm an engaging person. I want to be able to engage. I want to find out. I want to learn. And so... you have to remember that I was transitioning out of the Navy at the time, and in the transition, I wanted to find out more about what was going on, because in the Navy...
What are you going on about, bro? Like, you wanted to find out more about what's going on, so you stayed with Jeffrey Epstein apparently only once or twice a month. Like, okay, like, come on, man.
I wanted to find out more about what was going on, because in the Navy...
Look at his, like, jowls, if that's the right word. Like, he's got that gobble gobble, like, turkey neck thing happening there. I think his tie is on a bit too tight or something.
It's a pretty isolated business.
His tie's not even on properly either.
It's because you're out at sea the whole time. And I was going to become the Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. So I wanted to know more about what was going on in the international business world.
Okay, I see what he's saying now. He's saying that because there was like all this US eminence and power brokers and all that at these supposedly not parties. I suppose he's trying to make it out like they're functions or, you know, like whatever. He's trying to like find out more what's going on about, like, you know, the world and all that sort of thing.
And so that was another reason for going there. And the opportunities that I had to go to Wall Street and other places to learn whilst I was there were absolutely vital.
So to be honest with you, that's a good defence. Like, obviously we all know he's full of BS, yeah. Like, we all know that, yeah. It's obvious from this interview. This was a car crash of an interview. But his defence for knowing Jeffrey Epstein at this point in the interview is actually pretty is surprisingly good. Like, you know, like him saying, because Jeffrey Epstein did know a lot of powerful people. So for him, and if he was supposed to, if Prince Andrew was supposed to be the trade minister or whatever he was talking about, it makes sense that he would glean some useful information from the people Jeffrey was hanging around with. So that's a good defence. I think his solicitors probably come up with that for him, because I don't think he's bright enough to come up with it himself.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was...
Oh, do you know what's horrible? Yeah, like it's not just Jeffrey Epstein that's been a guest and almost promoted by the royal family. It's Jimmy Savile as well. Like, he was really close with he was really high up in the BBC, but he was also really close with the royal family. Like, Princess Diana said he was creepy in a book, but he was Jimmy Savile was brought in as a marriage counsellor for who was it? It was like it was Princess Diana and Prince Charles's. Is that right? Like, it's a bit before my time, but their marriage obviously was breaking down because he was seeing someone called Camilla. But like they brought Jimmy Savile of all people in to be a marriage counsellor for these people in the royal family. And Prince Andrew has been quoted as saying Jimmy Savile is his favourite. So there's links between the BBC and the royal family to do with all these paedophilia, like sort of like claims. Like there's a lot of dodginess going on, and I think the BBC, because of the whole Jimmy Savile scandal that happened in recent history, I think they did this interview to try and make it look like they're taking it more seriously now as an issue, and they probably are taking it more seriously, but they should have took it a lot more seriously a lot sooner, because they were fully aware of what Jimmy Savile was up to.
It was brought right into the heart of the royal family at your invitation.
But certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation.
You are part of the royal family, bro.
But remember that it was his girlfriend that was the key element in this. He was the, as it were, plus one to some extent in that aspect.
He wants to blame it all on Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's sitting there rotting in prison right now, and he wants to blame it all on her. I'm not sure if she was arrested at this point, but I think she's supposed to be the one they throw under the bus. And Prince Andrew, I think, is pretty much like hiding from the FBI in a castle somewhere.
Right, in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham.
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend.
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
Bro, what's a straightforward shooting weekend? Sorry, I'm working class here. I don't understand. Is that like where you go and shoot pheasants or something? Like, all right, man. All right, whatever.
But during these times that he was a guest at Windsor Castle at Sandringham, the shooting weekend, we
just a straightforward shooting weekend.
Now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex trafficking.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me or anybody else that that was what he was doing. And certainly, when I saw him either in the United States, when I saw him in the United States, or when I was staying in his houses in the United States, there was no indication, absolutely no indication. And if there was...
He had an awkward little swallow there.
You have to remember that at the time, I was patron of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign.
Oh my gosh, that is so disturbing to think that he was patron of like a child protection agency. That is so disturbing. Like it does. You get a lot of dodgy things like that happen in the UK, and I'm sure around the rest of the world. Like you know, like you hear about these care homes. No, sorry. Foster homes and not foster homes. What are they called? I can't remember, but like kids grow up in them who don't have families and stuff. Oh, what is it? For the life of me, I can't remember what they're called. But child homes, basically. And the management have been found in some of these places to have these sexual proclivities, so to speak. And it's just horrible. Like you think, like someone like Prince Andrew, not head of the MSPCC, but patron. Like you get these people in positions of power over children who have, or like Catholic priests. Like, you know, you get these people in positions of power over kids, and it's like, and teachers. It's like these deviants like seek out these positions of power where they're gonna have access to their victims. Same as Jimmy Savile, he used to act as a humble, lowly porter in the hospital, but it was just so he could get access to victims. It's disgusting.
So I was close up with what was going on in those time about getting rid of abuse to children. So I knew what the things were to look for, but I never saw them.
So you would have made that connection because you stayed with him, you were a visitor, a guest on many occasions at his homes, and nothing struck you as suspicious.
Nothing.
During that whole time.
Nothing.
Just for
so it would have actually been better for his defence if he'd have said, do you know what, there was a few occasions where I saw questionable things, but in my naivety which I don't think he'd like to say that he's naive, like because he's pompous and full of himself. But I think it would have been better if he said there was a few times where I saw questionable things, but I trusted him, so I believe they were of age, but they did look young, and he did have like young women around him. But I thought he was you know, like they were just like younger than they looked. Looked younger than what they were. You know, like he could have like admitted a little bit. And it would have made him look a bit more innocent, but he still wouldn't have got away with the public opinion about him. But you know, like it would have been a bit of a better defence.
The record. You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
Yeah, the Lolita Express. If you don't know what a Lolita is, it is like an underage, sexualized, often anime, I think, female. And he called it the Lolita Express because they used to take powerful people plus underage girls on this plane to this island, this private Jeffrey Epstein island, and then they would do disgusting things. And do you know what, like the list of people who have been on this plane from the flight logs is shocking. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, including Prince Andrew. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I always have. They've been a big part of me growing up, But I found out that Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer, had been a guest on this Lolita Express, and I'm not saying anything, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Please let me get that straight. But I don't listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers anymore, needless to say.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
You visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
Yes.
Belgravia sounds like it's somewhere in like France or Germany or something. I've never heard of Belgravia in London.
So in 2006, in May, an arrest warrant was issued for Epstein for sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July, he was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. Why?
That is disgusting that he would invite this deviant to his daughter's wedding party. Like, that is like, oh my gosh, or birthday party or whatever it was. That is disgusting, man.
Why did you do that?
Because I was asking Ghislaine. But even so, at the time, I don't think certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States. And I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it, because he...
Bollocks, man. Like, no way were you not informed of that or advised of that.
said nothing about it.
He never discussed with you the
never
fact
discussed it.
that an arrest warrant had been issued. So he came to that
I
party
do not believe that.
knowing police were investigating him.
Well, I'm not quite sure whether was it police that... I don't know. You see, this is the
It
problem.
was the
I
Palm
really
Beach
don't know.
police. At the
No,
time.
you acting dumb, bro. Like, don't even try
But
it.
I'm afraid, you see, this is the problem. Is that an awful lot of this was going on in the United States, and I wasn't a party to it, and I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, because like we're not magically connected by the internet or anymore. Like, you know, like it's not like like you come on, man. Like
2008, he was convicted of
Yep.
soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. He was jailed. This
Yes.
was your friend. How
Yes.
did you feel about it?
Well, I ceased contact with him after I was aware that he was under investigation,
I do not believe that.
and that was later on in 2006. And I wasn't in touch with him again until 2010. So it was one of those things that if somebody's going through that sort of thing, well, I'm terribly sorry, I can't be...
So no
associated-
contact.
No contact.
So you're a pedophile, yeah? I'll say pedophile because that's how you Americans say it. Like, so my best friend's a pedophile, so I'm just going to give him a timeout and not see him for a few years, and then we're going to regain contact.
When he was serving time, there was no call, no letter, nothing there.
No.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay with him at his New York mansion.
Oh, this infuriates me how he tries to explain this away.
Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right. I have always ever since this has happened, and since this has become, as it were, public knowledge that I was there, I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do? Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted...
So not because he had committed the sexual assault, but because he had been convicted of it.
It was inappropriate for us to be seen together.
Inappropriate, like, not, it was just downright wrong, bro. To be seen together, not like he didn't say it was wrong for me to be friends with him anymore. He said it was inappropriate to be seen together. And
I had a number of people counsel me in both directions, either to go and see him or not to go and see him.
So you have no excuse, because like anyone in their right mind would have said, mate, like, don't stay the F away from this guy.
And I took the judgment call that because this was serious, and
look at those jowls.
I felt that doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it.
He's not like your girlfriend, bro.
I had.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, you never know.
To go and see him and talk to him.
You had to go and see a convicted pedophile to go and tell him to his face, like, because you respect him so much that you can't be friends anymore because it would be inappropriate to be seen together.
And I went to see him, and I was doing a number of other things in New York at the time, and we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park.
Oh, lovely.
And that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed, which was when I said to him, I said, look, because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
So it's like, okay, look, let's just pretend we're in a universe where it was even remotely appropriate for him to go and even see this guy, to tell him that, let alone, like to be honest with you, yeah, like if I found out my mate was a pedophile, I just wouldn't even say anything to him. I'll just leave it, yeah, like I'll just like block him, leave it, like discard them from my life straight away. He doesn't do this. He like not only goes to see this guy in person, like, I mean, like, no, let's put it this way. He not only like could have texted this guy or contacted him, which I would have understood, him texting or contacting him or calling him and saying, look, like, you're a scumbag, like, I ain't gonna be friends with you anymore. But he didn't do that. He went and saw the guy, took a lovely walk in the park with him, yeah, and then stayed round his house for, I think it was at least a night or a few nights, yeah, like, and like, oh, come on, man, like, no way, no way.
What did he say when you told him that you were breaking up the friendship?
He was what I would describe as understanding. He didn't go into any great depth in the conversation about what I was doing, or what he was doing.
Oh, woo! Was that a Freudian slip there?
Except to say that he'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time, and he was carrying on with his life. You see what I mean? And I said yes, but I'm afraid to say that's as may be. But with all the attendant scrutiny on me, then I don't think it is a wise thing to do.
So it's only because you have scrutiny on yourself that it's not wise to do. It's not wise to. It should just not be not wise. It's not even about not being wise. It's just downright wrong. This guy is a pedophile, and you're going and talking to him, yeah, like, and staying around his house. It's not about not being wise, but you're about because of the scrutiny on myself. Then it's not appropriate. That's not like you come on, man. Like, does he realise how much of a car crash this is? It's like he thinks this interview is going well for him, but like it's like he's deluded. He's in a world all by himself.
Who advised you then that it was a good idea to go and break up the friendship? Did that come from the palace?
No.
Absolutely not.
Was Her Majesty the Queen involved?
No. That came from, so there were a number of people so some people from my staff, some people from friends and family I was talking to, and I took the decision that I had to show leadership and I had to go and see him and I had to tell him, that's it.
Because it was the honourable thing to do.
That was December of 2010.
Yep.
He threw a party to celebrate his release, and you were invited as the guest of honour.
Oh, in 2010? There certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December.
You shouldn't even be around this guy. Like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, multiple times you've been around this guy after you know he's been convicted of horrific sex crimes, and you've been with this guy multiple times. Like, why are you even in this interview? Like, right now, are you that deluded? You think that you can make this seem any better than what it seems like? You're just making it worse, man. Like, do you know what? I almost feel bad for him. Like, because he's such an idiot. Like, he's so deluded. It's like he's got special needs or something. You know, like he's not quite wired right. But like, he knows what Jeffrey Epstein was doing at the very least. Yeah, I'm not accusing him of doing anything. Yeah, but like he knew what Jeffrey was up to, absolutely, and I don't want to accuse him of doing anything more, but you know, I'm suspicious about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Let's just put it that way. I'm worried about getting sued. So like, if you can read between the lines, then I'm guessing you can.
December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8
Oh.
or 10
So because it was a small dinner party, it makes it all right.
of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honour.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay. I was there at a dinner. Yeah.
I'm just trying to work this out, because you said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering.
Wow.
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
What? Come on, man. The amount of money you have, bro. You could have stayed at the most expensive hotel on any like street corner in New York. Like, there's any number of places you could have stayed. Like, instead you chose to stay with him. Really?
I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one could have,
You don't need hindsight to realise that what you were doing were wrong.
it was definitely the wrong thing to do. But
You need hindsight for that, really.
at the time, I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
Oh, this is just so this is painful to watch, man.
And I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my
Immorality.
tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
No, come on.
Because during that time, those few days, witnesses say they saw many young girls coming and going.
Look, I'm sorry to laugh, yeah, but and ridicule and mock and that. Like, I know this is a serious issue and there's victims involved, but this is just so
At the
ridiculous.
time, there is video footage of Epstein accompanied by young girls, and you were there staying in his house, catching up with friends.
I mean, if they were, then I wasn't a party to any of that. I never saw them. I mean, you have to understand that his house. I described it more as almost as a railway station, if you know what I mean, in the sense that there were people coming in and out of that house all the time. What they were doing and why they were there, I had nothing to do with. So
Yeah, but you were obviously witness to it at the very, very
I'm
least.
afraid I can't make any comment on that because I really don't know.
Another guest was John Brockman, the literary agent. Now,
Oh!
he described
Really?
seeing you there getting a foot massage from a young Russian woman. Did that happen?
No.
He looks like he's been caught stealing cookies out the cookie jar.
You're absolutely sure, or
Yeah.
you can't remember?
Absolutely sure.
So
Didn't sound very convincing there, mate.
John Brockman's statement is false.
Well, I don't know Mr. Brockman, so I don't.
I would like it should just be yes, that is false if it is false, but instead he's equivocating if that's the right
It's
word.
false.
Well, I don't know Mr. Brockman, so I don't know what he's talking about.
But that definitely wasn't you getting.
You don't know Mr. Brockman, yet when his name is mentioned, you have the most animated response you've had this entire interview.
Foot massage from a Russian girl in Jeffrey Epstein's house.
No.
It might seem a funny way to break off a friendship, a 4-day house party of sorts with a dinner. It's an odd way.
I've got to say, yeah, I'll give the BBC props. They're grilling him, like they're grilling him as much as they can, but in in a respectful way of the fact that he is like a prominent person. They're doing it almost in a very subtle but very direct and effective way, and he's just they're giving him the rope that he needs to do the what's the word I'm looking for. This is evading me because I don't want to say the actual word. Do the proverbial. They're giving him the rope to do the proverbial, and they're giving him the shovel to dig himself a hole.
To break
It's a
up
difficult
friendship.
way of putting it. That's a very stark way of putting it. Yes, you're
Yeah, it's just stark. Yeah,
absolutely right. But actually, the truth of it is that I actually only saw him for about the dinner party, the walk in the park, and probably passing in the passage.
so basically you only saw him the times that we can prove that you saw him, and then like just brushing past him in the hallways. Like, yeah,
So
right.
let's go to that Central Park walk,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
snapped. Friends of yours suggest that Epstein wanted that photo taken.
I reckon that might be true, you know, like, because, I reckon that's true. Like, I reckon, like, he set that up, like, you know, like, I don't know why, but I'm guessing they figured it would give him some sort of tactical advantage to have the prince in, like, I don't know, maybe it was a deflection thing, like, to get people to direct some of their anger towards Prince Andrew, so there's less scrutiny and anger on Epstein. I don't know. There was some sort of tactical purpose there. That's what I believe.
Perhaps he'd even set it up. Do you worry that you were being played?
Again, new information's coming out since his suicide has made us
Quote unquote suicide.
reappraise that.
Do you know what? I wonder who was responsible for his death. Yeah. Like I have wondered if the royal family have something to do with it, because there's all them conspiracy theories about, you know, like the royal family being involved in Princess Diana's death. So like if that's true, yeah, which I don't know if it is because I've not really looked into it. Like if that is true, then they would kill one of their own like that, the beloved princess, the you know, like the flagship princess of the royal family. If they would do something like that to her, I wouldn't. Why would they not do it to Jeffrey Epstein, who could really put Prince Andrew in hot water if he was in court, and then make the royal family look even worse? Like the royal family is all about image and prestige. So like Prince Andrew being involved in this is a huge problem for them.
Walk in the park. We can't find any evidence, or my staff and my people and I can't find any evidence to suggest that that was what he was doing. I mean, you can look at it in so many different ways. The fact of the matter is that somebody very cleverly took that photograph. It wasn't, as far as I remember, nor do my security people remember anybody being present or close.
Someone was set up far away with a telescopic lens on their camera, like and I reckon Jeffrey like picked a specific spot, almost like where a sniper would have a clear shot, clear view, and then someone so far away you wouldn't be able. The Prince Andrew security team wouldn't be able to see him. Prince Andrew wouldn't be able to see him. Like I reckon Jeffrey Epstein led him right up to that like assassination spot essentially, and then like the picture was taken. It just seems too perfect, that picture.
Because there were enough security around. I mean, there are even photographs of the security people are around in the photograph. So I mean, he could have done, but
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel that you were part of Epstein's public rehabilitation?
Oh, no. Funny enough, I don't. No.
Interesting question.
I mean, if he was doing, if that photograph was taken for that with that purpose in mind, then it doesn't equate to what actually happened.
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you regret?
Oh, his blink rate like increased very very strongly. And let me go back like about 10-15 seconds. Check out his blink rate, and then once he's asked that question about whether Jeffrey Epstein has anything on him, he starts blinking a lot.
When you got back, why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you regret?
He went from blinking once in about 10 seconds to blinking about 5-6 times in 1 second.
What actually happened?
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No.
Do you regret that trip?
Yes.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Again.
Now,
Look how he couldn't be blinking more.
Still not, and the reason being is that the
You still don't regret the friendship. What?
Do you
Hang
regret the whole
on.
friendship with Epstein?
now still not, and the reason being is that the people that I met and the opportunities that I was given to learn.
Mate, I'm not being funny, but no amount of opportunities to learn or like anything like that, like nothing whatsoever, like should overshadow like what Jeffrey's done. Like you should regret the whole thing, like the whole saga. Like you should not like you like nothing should like trump that.
Either by him or because of him were actually very useful. He himself, not as it were as close as you might think. We weren't that close. So therefore, I mean, yes, I would go and stay in his house, but that was because of his girlfriend, not because of him.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you see him or speak to him again?
No, that was that.
Never
Funny enough,
since
2010 was it.
He was very quick with his response then, almost like he had been anticipating that question, and he didn't pause to think. Like it was just like very, 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 very quick.
That was it, because I went. Well,
And his speech gets suddenly a lot faster. Like you can tell, like when he's lying, he gets more animated, he blinks more, and he starts talking faster.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you
She didn't even have a chance to finish her question.
see him or speak to him again?
No.
And again, not even a chance to finish the question. He just knows whatever she's asking or is going to ask is going to be damaging to him. So that instantly he's just saying no without even listening to what she's saying.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you
Yeah.
see him or speak to him again?
No, that was that.
Never
Funny enough,
since
2010 was it. That was it, because I went. Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry, but I had to go and see him.
Wait,
had
what is he going on about?
time between.
Wait, what? I'm so
I wanted
confused.
to make sure that if I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because
What? What? What?
it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry.
What? Like, you shouldn't be going into it at all. What? What?
I had to go and see him. I had to go and see
What?
him. I
And
had to
stay
tell
with him and stay in the house.
I
with
could-
him.
I literally have no words. Like, I don't know how to. I'm trying my hardest to be like as skeptical and not cynical and fair and like unbiased as possible. Yeah, but he's making it very, very, very hard not to just call him out and like say some very unsavory
and
things.
see him. I had to go and see him. I
And
had to tell
stay
him.
with him and stay in the house.
I
with a
could
convicted
easily have
sex
gone and
offender.
stayed somewhere else, but
But you're too honourable.
but sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was. I mean, he was in and out all over the place. So getting
Wait, so you're saying it was convenient to get hold of him, and then like one breath later, he was in and out all over the
being
place?
in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to, and that happened.
What? So he's saying that he went to stay with this convicted sex offender to tell him that he couldn't be friends anymore, and he was in and out and all over the place so much you couldn't sit down and have that conversation. Mate, it should be a 5-second conversation. You're a nonce. I don't want to be a friend with you anymore. See you later. Bye-bye. And it shouldn't even be in person. Like, well, I'm not saying it shouldn't be in person. Like, that's a bit of a stretch. Like, it depends on the person and the situation. I don't know. But, like, it should be a 5-second conversation. Like, it should be like, mate, it should just be like, you're a fucking deviant. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Stay away from me and stay away from my children.
On the walk.
July of this year, Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking and abusing dozens of underage girls. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts,
Yeah.
has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember.
Like the fact, like when he met her, she was a girl, but he's saying, I think he's saying lady, like not because she's now a lady, but he's trying to make it like try and lessen the severity, like so that you associate him meeting her with him meeting a lady rather than him meeting a girl. That's my opinion anyway.
To Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None
She was a
whatsoever.
girl when you met her.
don't remember meeting her?
No.
She says she met you in 2001. She dined with you. She danced with you. You bought her drinks. You were in Tramp nightclub in London. And she went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Didn't happen.
Do you remember her?
No. I have no recollection of
A lot
ever
of
meeting her.
blinking.
I'm almost, in fact, I'm convinced that I was never in Tramps with her.
That's one of his tells. When he's lying, he's doing a good job, as far as I can tell. Of sorry, pardon me, I just burped. He's doing a good job of hiding his body language and he's not doing a bad job. He's obviously been coached, yeah, like how to look innocent. Like for instance, when he says no to a question like that incriminates him, he shakes his head left to right, which is the correct way to do it. Like a guilty person will often have like incongruent body language, so when they're saying no, they'll be shaking their head yes and things like that. There's other tells that I can't really remember until I see them, but there's other tells of guilt. And I haven't noticed many tells of guilt like with him because he's been coached for 6 months. But his eyes, his blink rate give him away because we can't really control our blink rate. So it's very, very interesting to watch.
There are a number of things that are wrong with that story. One of which is that I don't know where the bar is in.
So look for slow blinks, yeah, and keeping his eyes closed, and slow blinks up and down. Also look for fast blinks.
Tramps. I don't drink.
Another thing is he's probably been trained to like not stare directly at her too long or be adversarial or you know, because there's this common misconception, like he knew people would be like body language analyzing this on YouTube afterwards, yeah. And when you like, there's this common misconception that when you look away from someone when you're talking, it means you're lying, but that is complete like bogus. Like you have to look away to recollect things or think of things. So like an innocent person believes that like unwavering eye contact is the way to look innocent, but it actually makes you look guilty. And I think he's been trained in all of this. Like I think he's been like, they've trained him like fairly well. The problem is that the evidence against him is so conclusive that no amount of body language training or you know, like vocal training, if that's the right word, is going to get him out of this situation. He should not be doing this interview right now. He's absolutely foolish. It's his hubris and his pride, I think, that made him think that he would be able to pull this off.
I don't think I've ever bought a drink in Tramps.
What would you be doing in there, like in a nightclub, like except from buying a drink?
Whenever I was there.
Do you remember dancing at Tramp?
No, that couldn't have happened because the date that is being suggested.
Oh, this is ridiculous. What's coming?
I was at home with the children.
You know that you were at home with the children. Was it a memorable night?
What a good question.
On that particular day that we now understand is the date, which is the 10th of March, I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then because the Duchess was away, we have a simple rule in the family that when one's away, the other one's there. I was on terminal leave at the time from the Royal Navy, so therefore I was at home.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday
Thanks for grilling him. I'm so glad that she stuck with this line of questioning.
and being at home?
Because
Why would you remember
going
that?
to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do.
What, because you're so high up and honourable, like you're above Pizza Express, so we remember that night because I sunk myself down to the levels of a lower class peasant.
A very unusual thing for me to do. I've only been to Woking a couple of times, and I remember it weirdly distinctly. As soon as somebody reminded me of it, I went,
Wait, what?
oh yes, I remember that.
What?
But I have no recollection of ever meeting or being in the company or the presence.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March?
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night.
We're talking years ago. There's no way, like, even if this cock and ball story about Pizza Express is true, yeah, you wouldn't remember the date. Like, and people wouldn't be reminding you of it. Oh, Prince, do you remember that time that you went to Woking and you went to Pizza Express?
She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with
Oh no, this is going to get ridiculous, guys. Like, if you haven't already seen this interview, get ready for a wild ride.
the sweating, because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again. So I'm afraid to say that there's a medical condition that says that I didn't do it, so therefore.
Oh, I've got asthma, so I can't do PE today.
Is it possible that you met Virginia Roberts, dined with her, danced with her in Tramp, had sex with her?
His eyes, like, he looks like very, very guilty. Like the way, look, he looks like he's in the head principal's office, like, and he's been caught for something.
On another date?
No.
Do you remember meeting her at all?
No.
Do you know you didn't meet her, or do you just not remember meeting her?
No, I don't know if I've met her, but no, I have no recollection of meeting her.
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp. She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl meeting a senior member of the royal family.
Never happened.
She provided a photo of the
Yes.
two of you together.
Yes,
Your arm was around her waist.
yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
You don't put your arm around the waist. I mean, even just like, okay, look, put it this way, yeah. If there's a lass, yeah, and you've got your hands anywhere on her, like that's intimacy, yeah. But round their waist, that is very, very, very intimate. That implies that you two are close enough that you've either had sex or are probably going to have sex.
How do you explain that?
I can't. Because
Yeah, you can't, mate, you can't.
I have I have absolutely no memory
Just because you've got no memory doesn't mean it didn't happen, mate.
of that photograph ever being taken.
Do you recognise yourself in the photo?
Yeah.
Ugh, don't even calling him mate is just like ugh.
It's pretty difficult not to recognise yourself.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
It's not. It's not fake. It's like it's an old photo from like one of those those disposable cameras or whatever, yeah, or a Polaroid or something like that, yeah. Like it's not fake, like this, or at least before Photoshop was like really advanced, and he's like just ugh.
I think it's from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because
If it is fake, you can prove it because I think there's something called digital artifacting or something like that, which can prove that a photo is fake. If you can't prove that a photo is fake, that pretty much means that it's real.
it's a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
But it's possible that it was you with your arm around
That's
her waist.
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection.
That's almost like a Freudian slip, like the position. So where else has your hand been on her?
A photograph ever being taken.
The world has now seen the photo that Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein, we understand, in Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
I think it was Virginia Roberts' camera. She said a little Kodak one that she lent to Epstein. He took a photo, and your arm is round her waist.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house, because that photograph is taken upstairs.
Maybe, bear with me. Maybe he's been in so many, maybe he genuinely can't remember it, yeah, because he's been in so many similar situations with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, with so many different females. Like, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, yeah, like we're in a Wonderland moment right now, yeah. Maybe someone has been in so many situations with so many young lasses, yeah, and so many times that he drinking during all these times, and maybe even taking drugs, that he genuinely doesn't remember. Maybe even the photograph doesn't jog his memory, and he's like, I bet when he saw that photograph, yeah, his heart dropped. I bet the world fell out his arse, man.
And I'm not entirely convinced that, I mean, that is what I would describe as me in that picture. But
So if it's not him, there would have had to have been some long-running conspiracy from whenever, I think it was the 90s that photo was taken, I could be wrong. There would have had to have been some long-running conspiracy of like people out to get him, like knowing that this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is going to happen like 20, 30 years later. So there's like, obviously there's a huge conspiracy against Prince Andrew that runs back to the flipping 90s.
we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her.
What are you going on about?
Left side.
You think
Because I have no recollection of that photograph ever being taken.
That does not mean that it did not happen. It does not mean that.
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Bro, there was no AI or deep fakes back then. Like, there was nothing like that.
Oh, it's definitely me. I mean, that's a picture of me. It's not a picture of. I don't believe it's a picture of me in London, because when I go out in London, I wear a suit and a tie. That's what I would describe as those are my travelling clothes if I'm going overseas. So I've got plenty of photographs of me dressed in those sorts of sort of kit, but not there.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Nobody can
He keeps dancing around the question.
prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And you don't recollect having your hand
No.
round her waist
No.
in Ghislaine Maxwell's house on any...
He's not even listening to her questions. He's just answering, like, before she even has a chance to finish each question. Like, because he knows the questions are incriminating. He's not even giving her a chance.
your hand
No.
round her waist
No.
in Ghislaine Maxwell's house on any occasion, even if it was a
I'm
different
terribly
date.
sorry, but if I, as a member of the royal family, and I have a photograph taken, and I take very, very few photographs, I am not one to, as it were, hug, and public displays of affection are not something that I do.
False. I've seen a video where there's about 20 images of you with your hands all over people. Like, you are full of it.
So that's the best explanation I can give you. And I'm afraid to say that I don't believe that photograph was taken in the way that has been suggested.
What?
Why would people not believe that you,
So, wait, what?
you were there?
I'm sorry, why would...
I'm just trying to understand. There's a photo inside Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Ghislaine herself is in the background. Why would people not believe that you were there with her that night?
They might well wish to believe it, but the photograph is taken upstairs, and I don't think I ever went upstairs in Ghislaine's house.
You're sure of that?
Yeah, because the dining room and
Bro.
everything was on the ground floor.
Bruh.
It was as you came in the hall. So I don't remember ever going up there. I'm at a loss to explain this particular photograph. If the original was ever produced, then perhaps we might be able to solve it. But I can't.
You can say categorically that you don't recall meeting Virginia Roberts, dining with her,
Yep.
dancing with her at Tramp, or
Yep.
going on to have sex with her
Yes,
in a bedroom in a house in Belgravia.
I can absolutely categorically tell you, it never happened.
Do you
See,
recall-
that was very good body language training. That was like he was shaking his head left and right at the right times to look innocent. He was nodding his head at the right times to look innocent. He was being a little bit assertive, like, I absolutely did not, blah, 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 blah. Like, he's been trained very, very well by probably some very expensive experts.
any kind of sexual contact with Virginia Roberts,
No,
then
none.
or any other time?
None whatsoever.
But again, his blink rate. Do you remember I said look out for like fast blinks or slow blinks? That's his tell. That's what gives him away. He don't like when the conversation is not so heated and they're not. It's not so directional or accusational towards him. He blinks like maybe once or twice every 5-10 seconds. But then as soon as he's put on the hot seat and is asked an incriminating question, he slow blinks and or he fast blinks. Like by that sounds that sounds counterintuitive or paradoxical. What I mean is his rate of blinking increases, and he does these slow blinks where he closes his eyes and they take a while to open again, because I'm pretty sure like blinking is part of the I think it's called the autonomic nervous system. So like you don't really have any control over how fast you're blinking, or at least you don't have much conscious control, even though you can consciously control it. But he's probably so focused on his body language right now that he can't keep his eyes from lying.
I tell you, it never happened.
Do you recall any kind of sexual contact with Virginia Roberts then or any other time?
None whatsoever.
See that?
Because she said in a legal deposition, a legal court document in 2015, she had sex with you 3 times. Yeah. She is not confused about this. She said the first was in London when she
This ain't funny, bro.
was trafficked to you. The second was at Epstein's mansion in New York.
That is a date in April, I believe. Is that correct?
She said it was a month or so later.
Yeah. Well, I think that the date that we have for that shows that I was in Boston, or I was in New York the previous day, and I was at a dinner for the Outward Bound Trust in New York, and then I flew up to Boston the following day. And then on the day that she says that this occurred, they'd already left to go to the island before I got back from Boston. So I don't think that could have happened at all. There
was a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
I probably did. I don't think. On one of the weird things, I was staying with the because of what I was doing. I was staying with the Consul General, which is further down the street on Fifth. So I wasn't staying there. I may have visited, but
He's only saying he may have. He probably knows he did, but he's saying he may have, just in case they have evidence that he did.
Definitely no activity.
Because
that was a bit suspicious how many times he said no. Then I think I don't know why, and I could be full of it, and overanalyzing, but it just seemed very suspicious to me then.
Definitely no.
Definitely no
Activity.
Listen to him.
Definitely no activity.
Like that, it should just be like no. Like, but he's like definitely no activity.
Because in a legal deposition, 2015, she said she had sex with you 3 times. Once in a London house when she was trafficked to you in Mexico.
Can I just say, for a lass, Virginia Roberts, to have the bravery to go up in court and under oath or whatever you call it, make a legal deposition accusing a man of his stature and prominence, if that's the right word, of these such horrid allegations, takes bravery to the next level. Like I've got to give her props. Well done for doing what she's done. Because she's exposed light on these sick individuals, and like for her to do that, and then you don't just do that. Like no one just does that. Like that is like a huge thing to do, because you're making yourself a target. So she's so brave, man.
Maxwell's house. Yes. Once in New York, a month or so later at Epstein's mansion.
They're talking about how many times he had sex with her and where.
Once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
Wow. Oh, he had the same look then when she mentioned John Brockman earlier. Do you know the reporter or the writer or whatever? And then he went like that. That was
so later at Epstein's mansion, and once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
Oh, he's worried that there's other girls to corroborate what Virginia Roberts is saying. That's the most animated you see him in the interview that time there, and when she mentioned John Brockman.
No.
And that slow blinking there, like he has a fast little couple of blinks, but his eyes he doesn't even give his eyes a chance to open, throughout the blinks. So it's like one slow blink with like these micro blinks in the middle.
Girls.
No.
No to all of it.
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
Why would she be saying those things?
Oh, so there was a bit of incongruent, like he's getting flustered. He should, like when he was nodding his head at the end, he should have been shaking his head.
No to all of it.
Why would she be...
No, actually, to be fair, like, I'm overanalyzing it, like, because it could just be a sign of someone being assertive and saying, no, I didn't. No, I think I'm right. Someone who's more of an expert on body language, please comment below if I'm full of it or not.
saying those things? No to all of it.
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
There was like almost like a hybrid shaking up and down and a hybrid shaking left to right. It's kind of incongruent.
No to all of it.
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
Why would she be saying those things?
We wonder exactly the same, but I have no idea.
Because they're true. Look at that jowl.
Absolutely no idea.
She made these claims in a US deposition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying you don't believe her? She's lying.
Good question.
That's a very difficult thing to answer because
What? If it's a no, it's a no. Like it's not like it's difficult to answer. That's true because it's putting you in the spotlight, bro.
I'm not in a position to know.
Oh, whenever I say bro or mate, it's just a British thing to say it whether you like someone or not, yeah? Like, but, like, I detest him that much that it's making me feel sick when I say things like that.
What she's trying to achieve, but
She's trying to bring you down, bro. Like, I said bro again. She's trying to bring you down, you flipping moron.
okay, I can tell you categorically, I don't remember meeting her at all. I do not remember a photograph being taken, and I've said consistently and
What, bro? What's going on with his neck? Is he a reptilian? He's halfway in between morphing.
frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact whatever.
She spoke about you outside the court in August of this year.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I quote, "He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it."
And the answer is nothing.
Oh, you've done something, man. Like, when someone says they've done nothing, like, everyone has done something. What are you on
And
about?
if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is your message to her?
I don't have a message for her because I
A
have
lot
to
of
have
blinking.
thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it.
Look at all the blinking. Look at like the like I've explained about the blinking before. Look out
And
for
I
it.
hope he comes clean about it.
And the answer
What-
is nothing.
So if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is
Watch
your
his
message to
blinking.
her?
I don't have a message for her because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it.
That's his tell.
But they never happened.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman?
It's like what are you laughing about, bro? This ain't no laughing matter. Like,
Anyway.
sort yourself out.
You could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his
He
residences.
made an anchor point movement then. That's the first time I've seen him do this in the interview. You can hear the chair, how he moves his buttocks and his legs to shift himself around in his chair. So he's asked whether he's asked a very direct, is there any chance you have had sex with any women, well, not girls, trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein? And he makes an anchor point movement, which is a huge sign of distress and often dishonesty.
Woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences.
He makes two anchor point movements.
No.
You can see he almost lifted himself completely off the chair and then sunk back
You could
down.
have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked
It's not funny,
by
bro.
Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences.
No. and without putting too fine a point on it, if you're a man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody. You have to take some sort of positive action.
What?
And so therefore, if you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action.
Okay, fair enough. Sex is a positive action for a male. Yeah, we get that. Fine. Yeah. But then what do you say? If you try to forget, why should you try to forget it unless you've done something wrong? Yeah. And he's like, if you try to forget it, you can't, and you have to wait. So he says it's a positive act for men to have sex. Fair enough, yeah. Then he says you've got to take some sort of positive action. What does that mean? I have no idea, yeah. And then he says if you try to forget, yeah, why do you need to forget it? Like, unless there's something shameful or embarrassing. What are you going on about, you muppet?
Positive action.
Like, listen to him. He's full of it, man.
Man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody.
Fair play.
You have to take some sort of positive action.
What?
And so therefore, if you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action.
What?
And I do not remember anything. I've racked.
So he's almost saying it would have been positive if he did have sex with her, and he can't. Catch that. He's almost acting like, from what he's saying, it would have been positive if it was true, but he's saying he can't remember because of it would have been a positive action.
It's very difficult to try and forget positive action, and I do not remember anything. I've racked my brain and thinking, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit strange, I don't remember this. And then I've been through it and through it and through it over and over and over again.
If you've been accused of it, yeah, it shouldn't just be strange, it should be infuriating.
And no, nothing. Never happened.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he didn't remember the picture, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if when he was shown the picture he still didn't remember, because maybe there's been so many incidences similar to that he just can't remember.
Epstein's housekeeper, also in a Florida court legal deposition, said that you visited the Palm Beach residence around 4 times a year. You got a daily massage.
4 times a year?
That was what he said in a Florida court legal deposition.
No.
I'm just wondering, when you look back now, is there a chance that those massages might have been the services of someone who was being sexually exploited or trafficked by Epstein?
No. I don't think... no, definitely not. Definitely not. And I definitely did not visit his Palm Beach house 3 or 4 times a year. Absolutely not.
How many times would you say you visited?
In total, probably 4 times. In total, throughout the time that I knew him. In fact, probably that was the place that if you see what I mean, he was in the house more there than in other places that I was.
So that's where you'd find him.
But it was usually because I was going through and on somewhere else. So it was a day. That was it.
You said in your statement from the palace, at no time did I see, witness, or suspect any suspicious behaviour.
Yeah.
Virginia Roberts' legal team says you could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on. You could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on. Because
he must have had a consortium of, if that's the right word, of young girls around him all the time. There's no way you could be friends with this geezer and not realise what a fucking deviant he is.
If you are somebody like me,
an honourable gentleman like me,
then people behave in a subtly different way.
Subtly? Like what?
You wouldn't first of all, I'm not looking for it. That's the thing. You see, if you're looking for it, then you might have suspected now, with the benefit of a huge amount of hindsight,
What are you going on about? There's so much I can pick apart here, and I'm not even going to
a
bother.
huge amount of analysis, you look back and you go, well, was that really the way that it was? Or
Was there really loads of underage women like around him, or was I just being blind?
was I looking at it the wrong way? But you don't go into these places.
Bro, there's either a load of underage trafficked women there or not. Like, it's not about like how you perceive the situation or your flipping moral like philosophy. Like what are you going on
You
about?
don't go to stay with people looking for that.
You could
But
not
then-
spend time around him. That was what they said. You could not spend time around him and not know.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time.
Yeah, but they're not underage. They're not well, as far as I know, they're not underage girls.
And I don't wish to appear grand, but there were a lot of people who were walking around Jeffrey Epstein's house. As far as I was aware, they were staff, they were people that were working for him, or doing things. I, as it were, I interacted with them, if you wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, but I didn't, if you see what I mean, interact with them in a way that was, you know, what are you doing here, why are you here, what's going on?
But you'd notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Buckingham Palace,
God.
wouldn't you?
But
Or-
Oh God!
But sorry, you would notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Jeffrey's house. Wasn't there. Not when I was there. Now, he may have changed his behaviour patterns in order for that not to be obvious to me.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, like I don't believe him. I think he's full of it. But what he's saying is like not that bad of a strategy. Like to say that because I'm so eminent and I'm the Prince of England, maybe he changed his behaviour around me as to not raise suspicion. That's not even that bad of a defence or argument. But I don't believe him.
That not to be obvious to me.
So
So I don't know. I mean, this is, you're asking me to speculate on
He
things.
did another anchor point movement, and then moved his suit and did an anchor point movement, and probably blinked loads as well. There was too much for me to even keep up with.
So I don't know. I mean, this is, you're asking me to speculate.
Watch again.
Me.
Let's put this in slow motion. One sec. Let's put this at half speed.
So I don't know. I mean, this is, you're asking me to.
See what I mean? See what I mean? Know what I mean? Ear to the ground, listening to the sound of the street. That's one of my shitty songs. But seriously.
To speculate on things that I just don't know about.
you seem utterly convinced you're telling the truth. Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing. But if push came to shove, and the legal advice was...
Oh, that was a bit of a nervous cough there. I think his throat went dry. That can be a sign of fight or flight. He's been put on the spot here. That's a very good question. If he was asked to take part in the investigation, and then he got very, very nervous then, and then that's why he coughed, because an innocent person would want to clear their name, and they would get involved, and they would want to clear their name, but he doesn't, because he knows that the spotlight will be shone even more on him. Shown, I don't even know, but it would shine like even more on him.
And I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing. But if push came to shove, and the legal advice was to do so, then I would be duty bound to do so.
Because you've said
You should be duty bound to do so anyway, bro. Like regardless of the legal
To do
counsel.
Then I would be duty bound to do so.
because you've said there are many unanswered questions.
Yep.
Everyone affected wants closure. You would help to provide that closure.
If in the right circumstances, yes, I would, because I think there's just as much closure for me as there is for everybody else, and undoubtedly, some very strange and unpleasant activities have been going on. I'm afraid to say that I'm not the person who can shed light on it for a number of reasons. One of which is that I wasn't there long enough. If you go in for a day, 2 days at a time, it's quite easy, I'm led to believe, for those sorts of people to hide their activities.
What? You're in the same house as him, bro? Like, come on.
Time and then carry on when you're not there.
Virginia
What?
Roberts' lawyers, legal team, say that they've asked for a legal statement from you. There is an active FBI investigation now. Would you be willing to provide that?
Again, I'm bound by what my legal advisors tell me.
No, you should be bound by your own sense of morality, mate.
Epstein was found dead.
Yep.
In prison
Yes.
Thank God.
in August of this year.
Yep.
Yep, thank God.
What was your response on hearing that he'd died?
Shock.
Some people think that he didn't take his own life.
I bet when he heard, he was like, oh, thank God.
Well, there again, I'm not one to be able to answer that question.
There's nothing funny about it, bro.
I believe that centres around something to do with a bone in his neck, as to whether or not, if you commit suicide, that bone breaks or something. But I'm afraid to say I'm not an expert. I have to take what the coroner says, and he has ruled that it was suicide. So.
Oh, he bit his lip. Then there was a bit of a. It's interesting because he doesn't give many cues away, but when he does, it's quite interesting to note like the what the line of questioning is at the time where those cues happen.
I have to take what the coroner says, and he has ruled that it was suicide. So
that's the first time he's done that. The whole interview.
He's dead. His girlfriend, Diane Maxwell, your old friend,
Yep.
was, victims say, complicit in his behaviour.
but that bit I can't help you with because I've no idea.
Do you think that she has questions to answer about her role in this?
Well, in the same way that I have questions to answer, in the sense of what was I doing, and as I say that I was there to my mind, be honourable and say to him, look, I've been convicted. It would be incompatible for me to be seen with you. Unfortunately,
What?
somebody
So it would be not wrong, but incompatible to not be, but be seen with.
standing around with a camera at the time and got a photograph of us. It's one of the very few photographs there are of us, but that was the case. If there are questions that Ghislaine has to answer, that's her problem. I'm afraid I'm not in a position to be able to comment one way or the other.
When was your last contact with her?
Oh, interesting question.
It was earlier this year, funny enough, in the
It's not. What do you mean? Funnily enough.
summer, in the spring, summer.
About what?
She was here doing some rally.
So even though he had by then been arrested and was facing charges of
No,
sex trafficking?
No. This was early spring, I think. This was long, because when was he arrested?
July.
No, it was before July.
And that was the last time?
Yeah, because
Did you discuss Epstein at all then?
No, no, actually, funnily enough, no,
Another anchor point movement.
not at all. There wasn't anything to discuss about him because he wasn't in the news. It wasn't, it was just, we'd moved on.
I want to talk about moving on now.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Epstein is...
Oh, he was very happy to move on from that line of questioning.
We'd moved on.
I want to talk about moving on now.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Epstein is dead.
Yes.
The women
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
are now being heard.
Quite rightly.
How do you move?
Oh, that was good of him to add that. Like, that was smart.
Yes,
The women are now being heard.
quite rightly.
How do you move on from this?
Well, it's an interesting way of putting it.
What do you mean? I don't know what he
I'm
means.
carrying on with what I do. I have a number of things that I have been doing since 2011. They're pretty well organised, pretty successful, and so I'm carrying on and trying to improve those things that I'm already doing.
I wonder what effect all this has had on your close family. You've got daughters of your own.
Isn't he? He's the Queen's son. I wonder what effect it had on the Queen.
It has been what I would describe as a constant sore in the family. We all knew him. And I think that if we have a conversation about it, we're all left with the same thing of what on earth happened. Well, how did he get to where he was? What did he do? How did he do it? And so it's just a constant sort of gnaw. I mean, this first came out in 2011, and it was a surprise to all of us because the photographs were published at a separate time to when I was there, and there was sort of a question about what was going on, and as a family we discussed it. And then in 2015, when the allegations were made in the deposition, there was a sort of this is the immediate family, not the wider family. The wider family couldn't be more supportive. But the immediate family, it was, well, what's all this about?
Yeah. What have you been doing with this flipping pedophile?
We're at a loss. So it's just.
Has the episode been damaging to the royal family, to Her Majesty the Queen?
I don't believe it's been damaging to the Queen at all. Has to me.
I really do wonder how the Queen reacted to this. That has been a curiosity of mine ever since I've heard about this. What did the Queen have to say? How did she react to Prince Andrew? Did she give him a telling off? Did she give him a scolding? Did she give him the silent treatment? How did she react?
And it's been a constant drip, if you see what I mean, in the background that people want to know. If I was in a position to be able to answer all these questions in a way that gave sensible answers, other than the ones that I've given that gave closure, then I'd love it. But I'm afraid I can't. I'm just not in a position to do so because I'm just as much in the dark as many people.
How do you reconnect with the public then now?
That was weird though. He said he's just as much in the dark as many people rather than everyone.
I'm afraid I can't. I'm just not in a position to do so because I'm just as much.
That implies that there are some people who aren't in the dark about it and do know some stuff.
In the dark as many people.
How do you reconnect with the public then now?
Good luck with that, mate.
But exactly what I'm doing, which is to use and to continue to work with pitch, to continue to work with idea and the things that I believe strongly in. I'm not somebody who does things in competition with people. Oddly, I do things in collaboration with people. So I want people to
What are you going on about?
Work together.
He's like virtue signalling at this point.
To, as it were, a solution to a bigger problem. And so we've got a number of people working together, particularly in the education field, particularly and also in.
So you've got a lot of people working in the education field, have you, with children?
In areas of government and what they are doing, so that we're bringing everybody together, so that we're all pushing in the same direction. An idea now does that. We've been going properly now for 2 years. We've got 3.5 million people who've got a badge. We've got 500,000, or just over 500,000 young people who are using the service, and I'm trying to think what else we've got, but it's well, It's designed for 7 to 14-year-olds in the United Kingdom,
Oh dear.
and it turns out it's done from 5 to 95 around the world.
Oh dear.
So it's being done in 100 countries now.
He shouldn't be allowed anywhere near kids. Like, let's be real.
So we're slightly on the catch-up.
Made me do an
We
anchor
have to
point
bring this
movement
to a
then.
No,
close 'cause we're running out of time.
Oh wait, that was interesting how he reacted to that.
Slightly on the catch-up for this one.
I know we have to bring this to a
No,
close because we're running out of time.
Oh, he's so happy that he's over.
You've faced questions today on a very, very raw subject. There has never been an interview like this
And it's unprecedented, this is.
before. I wonder what that tells us about the way the royal family now confronts these difficult situations. Has there been a sea change?
I think that the problem that we face in the 21st century is social
internet.
media. There is a whole range of
Ways that you can be caught doing things you shouldn't be.
things that you face now that you didn't face.
Because it was easier to get away with it back in the day. But unfortunately, someone had an old school analog Polaroid camera.
25 years ago, because it was just the print media. And I think that to some extent there is a thick skin that you have to have.
When, like, when people catch you out.
And again, I'm not a confrontationalist myself. I would prefer to be able to, as it were, resolve things in a way that is sensible.
What are you going on
And
about?
so choosing to, as it were, get out there and talk about these things, it's almost a mental health issue to some extent for me, in the sense that it's been nagging at my mind for a great many years. I know that I made the wrong judgment and I made the wrong decision, but I made the wrong decision and the wrong judgment, I believe, fundamentally for the right reasons, which is to say to somebody, I'm not going to see you again.
But I'm going to stay around for a dinner party.
And in fact, from that day forth, I was never in contact with him.
Apart from, like, the subsequent 2-3 days you stayed there.
The subsequent allegations are what I would describe as surprising, shocking, and a distraction.
What?
But that's, I mean, there are all sorts of things that are on the internet and out there in the public domain that we just sort of go, well, yeah, but I'm afraid this is...
The worst thing that's ever happened in your life.
It just never happened.
You've talked about a thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you have any sense now of guilt, regret or shame about any of your behaviour and your friendship with Epstein.
As far as Mr. Epstein is concerned, it was the wrong decision to go and see him in 2010.
That's not what she's asking you, bro.
As far as my association with him was concerned, it had some seriously beneficial outcomes in areas that have nothing to do with what I would describe as what we're talking about today.
Oh my word.
On balance, could I have avoided ever meeting him? Probably not, and that's because of my friendship with Ghislaine. It was inevitable that we would have come across each other.
I wonder if they have come across each other.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming?
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender, bro. Like, what do you mean unbecoming? Like, it should be vile and disgusting.
Yes.
Unbecoming. He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite. In the sense
What are you being polite about him
he
for?
was a sex offender. But no. Was I right in having him as a friend? At the time, bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender, I don't think there was anything wrong then. The problem was the fact that once he had been convicted,
You stayed with him.
I stayed with him, and that's the bit that as it were, I kick myself for on a daily basis, because
It's not funny, bro.
it was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family.
Becoming,
And
oh,
you try and uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down. Simple as
Yep.
that.
This
Yep.
interview has been exceptionally rare. You might not speak on this subject
it's been a car crash, mate.
again. Is there anything you feel has been left unsaid that you would like to say now?
No, I don't think so. I think
Um,
you've probably dragged out most of what is required, and
Like, this is in another video I saw someone say, and it's so true. If there's something he should have said, if he was innocent right then, he should have said something along the lines of, look, my heart goes out to everyone who has been affected by this, and all of the victims, and you know, like, he should have said something like that. But instead he yeah, and he's on about what you've dredged all this out of me.
That you would like to say now?
no, I don't think so. I think you've probably dragged out most of what is required, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that you've given me to be able to discuss this with you.
All right then, bro. All right, let's just leave it at that. You've been locked into everything bite-sized. Check out my music videos, check out my shorts, check out my educational content, check out my true crime content, check out my other content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.